All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tommy Kendi. I'm your host of the BS Machine, and this is episode number 61. And have I got a special little treat for you? It's so cool. Do you know, one of the reasons I fucking love my life? There's so many random things that happen in my life, and the way I came across today's guest is just one of those random things. And it's rare that I find people, whether it's on Instagram or wherever, and I'm just like, fuck, I need to know more about that person. And our guest today is Carla Bonner. You might know the name. She's been blessing the TVs. She's been on Neighbours and a number of other cool stuff in her acting years, but now she's an actor, she's a speaker, and she is working a lot with women and teenage kids in empowering. But when I saw her on Instagram, one of the reasons I wanted to get her on board as a guest is one of my gifts is I really see when people have gone through some serious shit in their lifetime. And I really saw that in Carla. And that's one of the reasons I want to get her on, because I wanted to hear her story personally and get some insights from her about, you know, how she sees life, how she sees the current climate, what's going on, and also just to get some few little golden nuggets on another perspective and on someone who's an epic liver of life. So Carla Bonner, welcome to the BS Machine.
Oh, thank you, Tommy. Thanks for having me.
No
How
worries.
cool.
No.
What an intro. That's great. Thank you.
I know. Well, I just sort of made it up on the spot and it came out. I think it came out all right. How are you going? What have you done today?
Look, today, we've had that consecutive, I think about 10, 11 days of rain.
Yeah.
And so today we've had a break in that. And so I've actually got out into the sunshine and just grounded, barefoot in the grass, watering my plants, giving them a bit of fertilizer because they're struggling a bit, and just sort of just breathing.
just breathing. What's your favorite plant?
Oh gosh. So I'm a new green thumb, right? Last few years I have started to turn to gardening and love it, but I am no expert on plant names. So I have
yeah, go.
Like, this is my favorite.
Oh, that's it, because it's behind you. Love it. Yeah. So wait, do you with the plants, do you actually put in like proper effort and make sure they're okay?
I think I do, but because I'm not a gardener, I could probably be doing a lot better. But I think I do. Like, I give them love. I talk to them all the time. Yeah. They're joyous with me. That, like, there's such joy. It's beautiful. And so the connection, I've got my veggie patch. Love my veggie patch. And just so connected to nature. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yeah. And so was the connection to nature, has it always been something that you've been connected to, or is that just since you've got your green thumb?
Look, I've always loved nature. And in fact, I used to live in the Dandenong Ranges, and I had one of the very rare flat blocks in the hills, and I had 1/3 of an acre. It was an amazing block, beautiful, like so much garden and yard, but I wasn't a green thumb at the time. I had no interest in it. I could have had the best veggie patches ever, and I just didn't have any. I took no pleasure in it, you know. So I think it was a bit big for me, a bit overwhelming or something. I mean, I would get out there. How's this? I had two sons. Do you think I could get them to mow the lawn?
No chance.
No. And then I had an array of useless boyfriends that also were not interested in doing my gardening, you know. So I'd be out there pushing the lawnmower.
Wow.
But in terms of gardening, no, I didn't really. But now it's smaller, more compact, and I guess it's maybe it's just the stage of my life I'm into. You know, there's a lot of things I'm doing now in my life that I would never have foreseen 10 years ago.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. Give us an example.
Finding so much fulfillment in self, Like instead of partying and band-aiding all the wounds and doing everything, I could never have seen myself finding such comfort and fulfillment in turning inward and, you know, not and giving up all the vices, you know, like I don't even drink coffee anymore. Who am I?
Who are you? Crazy.
But I tell you what, like all the things, all my wounding that I tried to patch with relationships and substances and parties and places and, you know, I turned inward because I got so sick of myself because I was the common denominator in all of my shit. I had to turn inward. I had to take hiatus from relationship, like just get out of it and turn inward. Who is this? You know, I mean, I hadn't even been playing my own role for all those years. I was playing someone else for 20 years.
Yeah. Hey, is that how long you were? Is that how long you were on Neighbours for? 20 years.
Yeah.
That's a good stint. Yeah. Crazy.
It was a great stint. I was there 11 years and then I left for a couple of years and then I returned as a guestie and then I left again and then I returned again full time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on the whole, it was 20 years. Yeah.
20 years.
My whole adult life.
Crazy. You know? And then, so when you were, you know, all this band-aiding and all that type of stuff, when was the height of that? Were you acting or when was the actual height of when that was going on? Or the most intense?
Yes, I was acting. I was acting. I was acting and I was acting everywhere. Like I was fucking acting. No one knew who I was. Like, and I didn't even know who I was. And it was like, and that's when I speak, like that's one of my sort of openers is, you know, this is what you know me as. This is how you know me. This is what you know. Here's what you don't. You know, and it's that thing of, you know, you had this perception of me and made assumptions about who I am based on seeing me in a certain light, but you had no idea of the pain I was in on the other side of that, you know, and so, you know, like having that role was something that I knew from a very young age I was going to be an actress. I'm going to be an actress. That's what I'm going to do. My family all tried to deter me and, you know, like that in itself created negative messaging and, you know, but, and I continued on. And even though I had a child, I fell pregnant at 17 and I, you know, kept going and I still had this dream and I was going to do it. And then I had my second child at 25 and it's like, no, I'm still going to do it. And then I landed my chance. Like, when my youngest son was 18 months old. So I was 26 and landed this gig. And that was unbelievable in itself. But it was then that the monsters really started to grow as well.
Yeah.
Like,
And so so, I mean, you don't have to go into too much detail, but in terms of what was going on underneath the band-aiding, I mean, what, because I'm sure you would have done a lot of digging in the past, you know, 10, 20 years. And what do you think was underneath? Like, what was the main wound there for you?
Not enoughness, abandonment, unimportant, insignificant, undeserving, unworthy. Yeah, it was all that stuff.
And do you find that especially in women these days, that is super rampant, those type of feelings of not enough and insignificant and invisible?
Tommy, look, you know, like we are all the walking wounded, right? Until we turn in when we start actually exploring and discovering and doing all of that and actually undoing all the shit and reprogramming yourself. So essentially, like we're just raising, it's this perpetual thing of we just continue to raise people based on our wounding and we pass it on to them and pass it on to them, pass it on to them, which is why it's so important to me. Like this is my purpose, is to actually guide people to turn inward, you know, because we need to stop doing that because, young women, young men as well. You know,
I get it. Yeah.
And it's coming from the messaging from when we're so young and impressionable.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with men as well. Absolutely. I mean, we've all got wounding, and it's scary when you do the dig and you start digging. You're like, Oh no, this is
Oh.
scary, scary shit, and you start coming up with certain memories and things come up and you're like, wow, I can't believe that had so much impact on my life. I didn't even think there was that much. But, on one thing I've definitely realized, especially over the last 6 to 12 months, is that and this might sound really general or sound fucking sexist or whatever, but it's not coming from that place. But that saying that happy wife, happy life, I actually believe I never realized how much impact women have on this world, in this world. And it's unbelievable how fucking powerful women are. And I genuinely believe that when women are happy and they're genuinely authentic in themselves and they enjoy their place in the world's a fucking such a better place. It's such a better place. So I genuinely believe that the most powerful, if there's a segmentation, I genuinely believe women are they're basically the kings of this earth, because it's men are, well, not even women, but the feminine thing it's they're the leaders of the world. I really do believe that because of the expansiveness of their energy, and when you come across the feminine and they're in they're joyous and they're fucking loving life and they're serving and they're giving back and they're nurturing, you can't deny the energy that you just want to jump into that bubble as the masculine energy and you feel safe in it. But then the opposite, when they're fucking in their dragon, it's like, holy shit, like, let's get rid of, let me like hide away from this as much as I possibly can. So is the reason you because you mostly work with women, yeah, when you're coaching and stuff like that, and teenagers, yeah.
Yeah, I do. But I will just like, yes, women do. When women are fulfilled and in their authenticity, standing in their true selves, we're the queens, not the kings. Like, the queens are above the kings, right?
Yes, sorry, my bad. My bad.
I
Wrong
just had to
use.
clarify that.
Yeah, wrong use of
But
language.
yeah, no, I mean, unawakened, unawareness, like having a lack of self-awareness. I mean, I think back to some of the ways that I'd behaved throughout the years. I would have been a fucking nightmare.
I bet.
Like,
I can see that.
yeah, because it's such contrast to, how I'm showing up now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I actually apologized to one of my exes years ago, because it was a toxic relationship, right? But I was a perpetrator, right? Like, I fully played into that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's agonizing for anyone involved.
Can you explain what's a toxic, what do you mean by toxic relationship? Like, can you spell it out for us?
Well, this particular toxic relationship was full of party flavors.
Yeah.
And that was really because the communication was lapsed, right? It was an inability to communicate, because at that point, for myself, I guess too, there was an inability to actually take responsibility for self. And same with this person that was in my life. And so, as a Band-Aid, we would just party a lot, because in those moments we'd have a great time. Right? You have a great time in all areas, like, just, fucking great time, right? And then there's always the day after, and there's all the days in between all of that, which then it's, like, you're not grounded. You're so you're flustered, you're fragmented, you're intoxicated, you've really fragmented your energy. And so the rest of that would be spent in reactivity. Like, just reactivity, and then Band-Aid, reaction, Band-Aid. Like, that's toxic, when you can't actually resolve anything and and behave in the highest good for you. Like, I didn't even know what my highest good was. I thought I did, but it was just a consistent fighting. You know, like there was one relationship I was in that I cried every single day. And I accepted it. I thought I loved him. It's like, oh, like I'm meant to be in all this pain. It's like, no, you're not.
No, yeah.
No, you're not. And now so, it's like those kind of people wouldn't even come near me.
Like it just wouldn't even feel right, would it?
No.
No,
not going there.
So would you say right now in your life you're feeling the most powerful and the most connected you ever have?
Oh my gosh, I'm a force.
I can see that too.
I am so totally. I have such deep regard for myself. I am so unapologetic with who I am. I don't give a fuck who likes me, who doesn't. I see all of the rejections as redirections, like, you know, and you just look at all of these people that you've had encounters with, that I've had encounters with throughout my life. And it's just like, I am such a different person to who I was then, but I am still treated as if I was still that person. And that's just a reflection of where those people are at, you know? So it's like, no, I just fully stand in who I am. And those that are aligned with me, that's who I'll magnetize. And that's, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy for that. Yeah. So those are the relationships I have and the conversations. I am so into, you know, there's that meme of, you know, you want someone to lay under the stars and talk about the stars and all this. That is total fulfillment to me. Like that is just magic. So yeah, and just the contentment I feel of staying in on Saturday. I don't need to go party anymore. I don't need to be out there. It's like I really choose who I share my energy with and how I expend it. And it's just the best life. Even though we've got all this shit going on, I've never felt more connected to self.
Yeah.
But that's not through just saying I'm so connected to myself. It's like diligent practice, you know, and continual kind of assessing self, where I'm at, present moment awareness, like always, you know. Yeah.
I used to play in bands back in the day. Similar, like I toured the world and all that type of stuff, had a band, lived in Hollywood for like 6 years and all that. So I sort of got to experience what you experienced in a different way. But it's not like I've got a very balanced life where like obviously I don't go out, get on the gear every weekend or ever at all. But I caught up with a few of my musician buddies last weekend.
Yeah.
And we went to, I don't know, some pub in Carlton or wherever, or Collingwood. And I rock up, there's the fucking tequila shots straight away. And I was just like, whoa, like I haven't been drinking in God knows how long. I still have a wine here and there. Anyway, I end up having like 5 or 6 beers over the day. I was fucking legless. I'm like, holy shit. And I went home. I had, I was just sitting there going, it just doesn't feel right in my body, but not because I'm so, holy or whatever, but I just don't go out and get hammered anymore. It just doesn't, but I thought, I still thought I had my legs, but I definitely don't. Definitely don't. And I felt so, I don't know, I just felt a bit yuck, but it's all, but what it sort of brought me to was the guys that I was out with. You can really tell, and even if they listen to this podcast, I say it to them myself, I don't give a shit, but they all had their beer guts, and you could just tell that it's a different dynamic, and there's this photo that I saw the other day, which was a photo of 2 50-year-old men. And one of them was just this fat gut and just sitting there, whatever, looking totally unhealthy. And the other one was a 50-year-old dude who was like ripped, looked healthy, skin beautiful, whatever. And it basically underneath it just says, we are the choices that we make. And it's so true, isn't it? Because our life up until this point, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, you can't not take responsibility. Like it's all about every choice we make every day. You've got to fucking own it. You've got to take responsibility.
Oh, I completely agree with you. And for me, I remember when it became about preservation, it was like, oh shit, okay, now we need to start preserving. It's like, oh, you know, you go through life and you imagine yourself at different ages and you fantasize with your friends going, imagine when we're 40, imagine when we're, well, we never went past 40. We never actually imagined past 40 because that's just old. Now I'm there. And it is totally that thing. It's all about my choices. And the last time I got really drunk was at my youngest boy's 21st, which, mind you, probably about 3 drinks.
Yeah.
The next day, I wanted to end it.
Yeah. Let's end this now. Yeah.
Yes, like it was excruciating. And myself, I was driving myself crazy. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? Like, just and crying and just like completely beside myself that not worth it.
Yeah. So what's the like, is there a moment for you where you sat back in your chair and you went, I'm fucked, I need help?
Yeah, it was when I was in a relationship. And this person was very, very hard work. And I was a rescuer. Like, I was always a rescuer. And also I think because of my past and my wounding and stuff from my father, my daddy issues, right? My body started rejecting. Like, my cycles started being all over the place. My body was just tipping on its head and screaming at me, and I was not listening. And I just continued on, and until it got to the point where I actually thought I was going to die. Like, it got to the point where physically my body was shutting down, and it was like, I've got to do something here. This is my life. It became very scary. My mortality, you know, like, it was, yeah. So that was the point. I left that relationship. I walked out. That was it. And I'd left this relationship a few times before. And this time it was like, I knew this time it was it. That was it. And as soon as I did, my body started to rectify itself again. Our bodies are such exquisite, sophisticated machines that it knew what to do to heal. And when I noticed that, and it was immediate, and it was a process, but it was immediate, like the difference. And so once I allowed my body to show me that, it shifted something in me where I had to respect it. I had to regard. I had to just do, get real. So I did. So I moved away, and I really went inward, and then it's the synchronicities that open up. Like, when you open up to everything and you're like, okay, give me a sign. Like, I used to see synchronicities as amusing. Oh, isn't it amusing? Until you actually really tap in and you go, fuck, no, this is bigger than amusing. Like, these are signs, and these are like, this is direction, and this is incredible. And so these synchronicities that were happening just were over and over and over again. And so I have just been led by, I ask for signs, and I'm very connected. I have my daily practices and everything, but I really go with, it's got to feel right in my body.
Yeah.
It's got to feel right in my body. And when you really connect in, straight away if something feels right or not. As you said, you know if something feels off.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, I reckon that's one of the biggest things that's really wrong with society and humanity these days, is that there's so many of us that are in pain, and there's so many of us that are in either the wrong relationships, or we're in the wrong job, or we're doing the wrong things, or we keep, toxifying ourselves or whatever. But it's like, even with me, because I've experienced it just like you, when you step out of that place, it's literally like magic just goes, cool, here you go, here's the magic. you've stepped up to you've stepped up and you've listened. Now here you go. Here's the magic. But what I reckon is the most fucked up about our society all around the world at the moment, and I still fall into this quite often, is that we want to see the sign before we take the step, before we ignite courage. We want to be like, all right, I'll do it if I get that. But it just doesn't work like that, does it?
Providence ain't going to reach down and meet you if you're not reaching up. No, that's it. You can fool yourself. You can lie to yourself, but it's just like pointless.
It is. Yeah. And so if anything, like, and I harp on about this all the time, because it's almost like I look at my life as almost like a testing tube, or like and if you ask any one of my mates, they're always like, I don't know how Tommy fucking does it, but he always lands on his feet every time. And it's because I think I've been lucky, because I've never really attached myself to a job. I've never really attached myself to really anything in such a way where I believe that if I don't have that thing, then my life's fucked.
Gosh, lucky you.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? Relationships is a different story. Women fuck my whole head, my heart, everything. So I know. But in terms of most things like jobs and monetary stuff and whatever, I've always been able to make really cool decisions based on my heart. And I know that every time I've done those things, it's like magic literally just goes, oh, cool, you listen, let's go. Yeah. And yeah, so I think, so when you sort of started to see those synchronicities and you started to see those things that are literally just popping out of nowhere, where did that lead you to?
Oh, wow. So there's this one, when I was living in Elwood, and I was a big walker. Like, I was training hard in those days. I was doing everything. And I would
training as in like running?
No run. I don't run. It's a very funny sight.
Yeah.
I don't run. Yoga, Zumba, walking, they were and Pilates.
Yeah.
And so this one day, and I started listening to podcasts, because it was always about music when I'd listen to music, but I'm so influenced by music. I could hear music, it brings on a memory. I'm a mess, I'm very private with my music taste. It's interesting. I feel like it's going to let someone in. If I know what. Yeah. Anyway, so this day I was walking and I'm like, I'm going to listen to podcasts now. And I came across this new podcast about self-love. And I'm like, well, I reckon I need some of that. So I was walking and I was listening to this woman, and I was walking along Elwood Beach, and she says something about how cathartic it is to walk along the beach. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Well, here I am. Like, I guess that's a sign. Thank you. And then I'm like, do you reckon I could have another sign? So I just kept walking. I came to this point. Every day I'd come to this fork in the road, and every day I took the right side, right? And this day I came to the fork, I took the right-hand side. The voice inside said to me, take the left. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I backtracked, crossed the road, continued off down the left side of the footpath of the road, along the footpath, and I'm still listening to podcasts and walking along, pounding pavement. And then she says the words, love yourself. And at exactly that very second, I look down and I stop in my tracks, because I'm about to step on engraved words in the concrete at my feet, love yourself. Exactly the same time, right? Wow. So I'm getting it in here and here. I'm just like, oh, I guess that's the sign I asked for. Like, thank you. Oh my God. Like, I got goosebumps, right? Like, this was powerful. And this woman, everything was resonating. It's like, whoa, I need to find this woman. I need to work with her. So I got home. She's American. I found her. I contacted and I became a member of I became a student at the path of self-love. And so I embarked on that journey. And it was just like, with these particular things, you've got to fill out something, and then you get led into the next portal, and then you fill out some questionnaire again, next portal. And no joke, like all of my answers, when the portal would open, it would be word for word sometimes with what the school was talking about. And I'm like, oh, I am so home. This is like phenomenal. Then I got an invitation to sign up and join, and so that was amazing. And so I embarked on that journey, and that was and it was from that point that I just went, because I've always been been intuitive, but never really kind of worked with it, just sort of just like with crystals and things. Like I was raised, my mum was just a total hippie. We had crystals and tarot cards and grew up at St Andrew's Market and, hung out with nudists and all that sort of thing, So it was just like part of me that I'd sort of suppressed. Not consciously though, but anyway. So yeah, it was from that moment that I'm like, oh no, there's something really powerful going on here, and I think it's time for me. And at that moment, I was so ready to just turn inward, no relationship, no nothing. Prior to that, I was a serial monogamist, So now it was like, okay, I reckon I've found something here, and just journeyed there. And I just live consistently in this space where synchronicities just I'm open to it. Right? I'm open to it. I ask for it, and I keep my eyes open for it, and I have no time frame. I tell the universe, like, this is what I'd love. I know you'll deliver in your own time, like in the time. So yeah, that's just, and it's just such a fluid way to live. Like it's amazing. And I feel like it's really equipped me for these times. I really do feel like all my life experiences and everything have led me to be prepared for now, and to be able to be of service to others in these times, because, it's all about turning inward now. It's become very serious that we turn inward and to spiritual practices, because we got no control over what's going on. The world's fucked. We're in trouble. And there's nothing we can do to stop them. But the only thing we can do is just to create this stillness within, because if you get caught up in the frenetic of everything, you just lose yourself. Yeah. And it's like that, the analogy of being the windsock, and you're just blown around with every emotion and with every person that you encounter. So instead, I just have grounding practices, daily grounding practices, and I share them with my people I work with and beloveds and everything too. It's just like, those beloveds that listen to me, but those that don't loopy. So to be able to witness what's going on and not be caught up in it, and to give myself what I need every day, to really, because that's what we've got to do, and then it becomes that society full of empowered people living in harmony, harmonic defiance actually, but living in harmony. And that's where you see that those women who are living in their authenticity and their empowerment and their goddess and their, like it's a beautiful thing. And the men are too, I want to be in that community. That's what I love. Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, I've got no idea. This is the first time, I guess, in my life where I'm looking at the next 5-10 years, and it literally, if aliens dropped on the planet tomorrow, I'd be like, that makes sense. Cool. Like nothing would surprise me anymore. And and so I think for, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if in 5 or 6 years time we've literally gone back to the original aspect of what the earth was, and we're all just living in communities on farms and whatever else. I just wouldn't, I don't know why, but that just does not seem ridiculous to me at the current climate, because taken away from the whole vaccinated, unvaccinated, all that type of shit. Like, I mean, there's, everyone's got their thoughts on that. But aside from that, I think one of the biggest things that I believe has really come to the surface and squeezed to the surface is that governments and the political whatever political powers or whatever around the world, they're not, you can't trust them, you know. And so I totally agree with you in that in these times it's more important than ever to learn how to ground yourself and how to be in your own essence, your own soul.
Yeah.
And regardless of what's unfolding for you in that reality, which is a totally deformed reality at the moment, you find happiness within. And it sounds general and whatever else, but it's fucking true.
Oh, it's true. And it's so powerful. And that's all we have, is every moment. That's all we have. And so it doesn't make sense to be future projecting. Like, we do get caught up in it, but it doesn't make sense to, because all we have is now.
Yeah.
Like, if we can just take care of ourselves in each moment, then the future, we're going to arrive and still be in that moment and still be okay, you know?
Yeah.
It's,
And so what are you doing now?
Now I'm studying. I'm studying again now. I'm
Are you?
a student, but I'm studying to be able to, and it's, you know, to be able to, like, it's in coaching again. It's another accreditation for coaching, but, you know, it's like really helping people find their purpose.
Yeah.
Because that's what we need to do. When you tap into purpose, you find meaning. And this is what people are lacking, is meaning in their lives. You know, you've just got so many people, and I get so many messages on Instagram and, you know, of people that are just lost. And if we all could just tap into what it is that lights us up, like what it is that, you know, even if go into that fantasy of, if there was nothing stopping you, what would you be doing? You know, like, and really helping people to find that, helping people to tap into that, which is hugely beneficial.
And what lights you up, Carla?
Oh, what lights me up is is my sovereignty. That really lights me up, but actually also connecting with people who are as well, like community, just knowing that I'm living in integrity, and that I'm helping people, like I'm being of service, like I'm here. The profile is amazing, right? So I had this 20 years on this show that has been phenomenal, but in 2012 it was like, I left in 2010, 2012, I really started sort of more seriously diving into purpose. Like, what is it all about? Because I realized it a very, very early in the piece, when I'd been on the show, you know, from a year of being on the show, I'd want people in the street would want to cuddle. Can I have a hug? No, so you give people a hug. People in the street, in the shop, you know, just connecting with someone, connecting the eyes, like looking at someone in the eyes, smiling at someone. And then I'd get mail, or I'd get email through to me to say, you don't know what that did for me. Like, I saw you in a shop today, you smiled at me. Like, you don't. And so that was like, oh my God, like and so for me, it was probably more of a buzz for me than it was for them, you know, to hear that I could actually change someone's day just so simply. There's something in that. Like, that really lights me up. That gets me going. And so, I've really continued on that path. So I think what really lights me up is being able to step into fully who I'm meant to be. Who I'm meant to be.
Yeah. And what about like what tools do you use to light you up in like, let's say if you're having a shitty day, what's your thing? Like, for example, with me, I've got it's my fucking best friend at the moment is jumping in a shower. Oh, sorry, cold shower. And so I have cold showers every single day, or I jump in the ocean or whatever. And I just, you know, get out my manhood and in the cold shower and do my little gorilla and make up songs or whatever, and just carry on like a totally loose unit.
Amazing.
And that to me really ignites this energy within me, which I really need to fuel me at the moment. What are your sort of things that just like give you that thing? Is it yoga? Is it what do you do? What's the things?
Well, I can really, like, I have
Whoops.
my
Sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
I have my daily practices, right? So when I'm doing my yoga, depending on the dialogue and the tone of the dialogue is pretty indicative of, by the time I get into my meditation, of where I'm at. Like, you know, like, am I feeling negative today? Am I feeling neutral? Am I feeling sad? So then I'm in, like, I do my meditation. It's so important for me to connect into self first. Before I get on any device, I connect into self first. That is a non-negotiable, because I can't show up for the day if I'm not connected to how I'm feeling and what I need. And so that's what I do. I do my yoga, I meditate. I dance as well. Like, if I'm feeling shitty, or if I'm feeling sad, or if there's energy that's stuck, I just, put on some beats and just dance. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
If you're not following Carla on Instagram, get on it. She's got some very cool shit on there. I love your daily little reels and stuff. It definitely brings the happiness and joy to my life. That's for sure.
Oh, thanks, Tommy.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, I get that a lot, and that's so beautiful, because I know how it is when I watch someone's reel and they make me laugh. It's like, oh God, that feels good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You realize how often we're not laughing at the moment. You're like, oh, that my body just rejoices in that shit. Give me more.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a real element in any sort of body movement. It brings about this sense of I don't know. It's not like a sexual energy, but it brings it, like, body movement brings about this feeling of like flow and freedom, and it's just, I think that's why yoga is such a powerful practice, because you really learn how to free up the body, and it's just such a beautiful practice. I'm so lucky that I've got that as part of my little skill set as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You teach yoga, yeah?
I teach as well. Yeah.
I've got to come to your class.
Yeah, come for sure.
Oh, then where will that be? In the park?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so it's so cool. So now you're are you actively coaching people? Are you, what are you sort of up to at the moment, other than the study part? Or are you just like a free bird doing your shit, doing speaking gigs? Are you still acting?
Look, I think that my options have probably diminished quite significantly.
Yeah.
At this point. I have dreams. I've got my own show that I want to produce, like, I'm looking for my team, my aligned team. Sorry, what are you going to say?
No, I was going to say before, like, I actually had this, when you were talking before, in my head, I went, fuck, it should be awesome to do, like, you and me to do some sort of podcast together. I'll just say, even though it's on air or whatever. But I don't know. I was just thinking, as you were talking before, I'm like, fuck, me and her would be a good team to team up and do something. But I don't know. We'll talk about that off air, but who knows? I reckon
God.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to let you in on something.
What?
I just got a little download of that earlier when I was out with my plants, that you were going to say that.
What?
Oh, fuck yeah. Like, no shit. That's true. That is true.
Yeah,
that
cool.
True.
So I don't know.
Huh?
Let's we'll talk about that off the potty.
I would love to. Yeah, let's.
It'll be cool. But yeah, where were you going? What were you saying?
I don't know. You asked me.
Well, I did. No, I was asking you. Oh yeah. So what are you actively coaching? Are you, so you've got an idea for your own TV show? What else is going down?
So I run women's circles as well, but again,
limited. Yeah.
I was teaching yoga to the elderly as well.
Huge.
Chair yoga, because if you get my students are like 95 years old. If you get them on the floor, you never get them back up. So it's like, get the chairs.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I loved that so much. But anyway, I'm not doing that. So what I'm doing is studying. I make jewelry. I sell jewelry, like bracelets and things. And I yeah, I've just dived into this course, this 6 months. So I'm super pumped about that.
Yeah.
I teach acting as well. So I coach. While we've been in lockdown, that was all on Zoom. Now we're back in the room again. Like, it's just like a readjustment, isn't it? We've just got to readjust to what is.
Yeah.
Acceptance of what is and readjust.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I'm just doing my thing right now. Just present moment awareness.
Yeah.
Not soothing.
And do you know what? Like, what do you reckon? In the way that you're living life, because I think it's super powerful when people, feel into what's right for them, and they have the courage to stick to it. What do you see? Or firstly, what scares you about the future?
What scares me? I think that the biggest thing that kind of gets me feeling a bit anxious is around money. It's around what happens when they cut us off from our money. Like, it's about that. Is there going to come a point in time where you've got to roll your sleeve up? Like, is it going to? So, and then I notice my thoughts start speeding up. They start speeding up. I can't catch a thought. It gets frazzled. It gets noisy. It gets messy. It gets dizzying. So I've got to stop it. I've got to stop it. I've got to stop it. Because, so that's that. There's been an interesting thing around death too. It's like, not that I plan to go anywhere, but it's kind of, our mortality is really coming to this as well. And so that doesn't scare me though. Like, that doesn't actually scare me. I feel like on the other side of this is we're going to be okay. Like, I just have this faith that we're going to be okay. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. That's not to be, no spiritual bypassing or any of that stuff. Like, it's going to be fucking tough, and we've got to endure it. But we've also got to face what is and accept it to be able to endure it. I think the people that just bury their heads in the sand are not doing themselves any favors, because it's going to come slap them, and they've not seen it coming. Because we are essentially in a war. We're in a war of a different kind, and so I think I don't have any grandchildren at this point. Like, that'll happen in the next couple of years, which is weird, but I don't know. I think bringing children into the world scares me. I don't understand why that's probably a bit of a controversial thing to say, because there are a lot of people,
And what excites you about the future?
Oh gosh. Okay. So the big picture, this empire that I want to build, like the change that I can contribute to in the world. That excites me, because you go along and you sort of live your life and you do your thing, and initially when you make a change in your life, things they're a practice, but then they become habit, and then they just become who you are. And then when you actually stop and go, oh shit, I used to actually think like that. Wow. And you realize how far you've come, right? But then when you get to this point too, you start just assuming that everybody thinks this way, don't they? Like, surely everybody does. And to realize they don't. People actually really don't. And people are where I was. And I see myself in everybody, like at different stages of my life, through everyone, even really badly behaved. Yes, I see that part of me that would have played out like that, So, so it excites me to think about the ways I can help people, the ways that I can show up to do what I was born to do. Yeah, I think that really does excite me. Just to think that, I don't know, it's just a simple thing. It's not something grand. The empire is grand, but the shift in people is so simple, but so powerful.
Yeah. I remember that my first ever, well, maybe not first ever, but my first big aha moment when I was living in LA, and I went to this. I didn't know anything about yoga, meditation, nothing. I was just a a wannabe rock star, sex, drugs, rock and roll. Anyway, mate of mine took me to this yoga class. A dude called Guru Singh. He's a Kundalini yoga dude, and took me to the class. And Guru Singh was talking about taking responsibility and having responsibility for your choices. And the whole class was based on that. And then afterwards, I had this really controlling manager who, when we lived in Hollywood, and she was super controlling, like a bit like Dan Andrews, Divide and Conquer. And she was very similar. Anyway,
Yeah,
I had this I had this, like, I was walking up the Runyon Canyon. I don't know if you've ever been there, up Runyon. And I had this massive aha moment, and I realized that I'm responsible for all of it. And how old I was, maybe 31, 32 or whatever. And I looked at every aspect of my life, and I just went, wow, this is all my responsibility. It's like, I fucking chose all this. And it was such an intense aha moment that I had like full goosebumps all over my arms, my chest, my head, everywhere. And I started bawling my eyes out halfway up the Runyon Canyon. And I actually had to hide in a fucking bush and go into fetal pose. I was walking with a mate, and my mate was like, dude, you're right. I'm like, it was one of those like, or just because I realized that I'm responsible for everything, and that's where it really comes in to our experience of life. Like, even if you've done bad shit, just fucking own it, and if you don't want it, it's like, cool, fucking own it. And it's like having the responsibility for, even one of the biggest things that I've really done over the last few years is, anytime there's an awkward conversation that has to be had, you've just got to put your big boy pants on, and you don't know if it's going to work out good, bad, whatever, but you just got to go, right, I'm having this fucking conversation. And you front up and you own it, and it's still going to be awkward and whatever, but fuck, that pain is so much less than holding on to that fucking weight.
Absolutely. My gosh. And responsibility, like, as daunting as it can be when you first realize, or like intense, it also alleviates your suffering. Oh my God, if more people would just start taking responsibility for their own shit, even though you've had a screaming argument with someone who said the worst stuff, all you need, and then you sit back and you wait for that person to make it up, to make it better. You're waiting on someone else. You're giving someone else the power, right? You could be waiting for years. You could be waiting forever. You may not never get it. But if you take responsibility for the way that you've shown up in that situation too, you can alleviate the suffering.
Yeah.
And that was, like, in that piece about responsibility, that was so powerful. That's just like, man, I don't need to be, of course there's still suffering. It's the human experience, isn't it? But, like, the excessive kind of experience of it is unnecessary. And that was a big thing for me too, is getting people to take responsibility. That bit just went, no, we're not talking. Something about, just getting people to take, just own, just like you said, just own the way that you show up. Just like own it. So what if you admit you were wrong? So what if so what? It's the ego, right? It's all the ego shit that gets in our way too. It's just like,
yeah. So good.
So I couldn't remember where I was going with that piece. It was really good, but anyway, it might come back.
Do you know what? If it was to come back, what would it be?
I like that. That's a nice little technique you got there.
The old one too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think it was just the power in getting people to, stop just the blame game. Just nah, it's still not there.
Yeah. That works for me.
It doesn't want to speak to you.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know. It is definitely going to be an interesting little future moving forward, and yeah, I reckon it's one of the reasons that I was drawn to you, Carla, was that there's this essence about you where it's not that you don't give a shit, but it's like you can see that you just dropped all the things that used to hold you back. You can see that you've dropped them, and it's like it's so clear that you're just going on this journey. And I find myself in a very similar stage where I'm just on this journey of opening, and it's like it's awkward, but it's not, but it feels good, and I'm like, I don't know where it's going, but fuck, it just feels right, so I'm just going to go this way. And I think that one of the things I'd love to know with you and where you're heading, and it sounds to me like it's almost like you're making it up as you go. And what do you think is the true power behind trusting your gut, and not just the true power, but doing things in a way where they almost don't make sense in the outside world, but you just do it anyway?
Faith
in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Faith in my spirituality.
Yeah.
It's really come down to that. Like, I was talking to my mom about it yesterday, and she's like, but what is your role here? Like, what is it that what are you doing? And it's like, mine's like I'm guiding people to turn inward. I'm guiding people home to self, because that's where we've got to be. We've got to, it's just, it doesn't make sense to people because it's so unsafe to people because it's not tangible. But for me, anything else creates noise and dizziness and all of that. Like, faith is the simplest stillness that I can come to. Does that make sense?
Big time.
To what you're saying, though? Yeah, good.
Yeah. No, of course it. Yeah, absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. Faith, just faith in self that that these are going to be our stories in years to come. Like we read the stories of the people in World War II and like things like Diary of Anne Frank and all that sort of thing. Well, these are going to be our stories, and I can't see myself following the pack. It doesn't feel right for me. So I have to have faith in my choices to not. So that's where I see it. And it's a constant kind of just a reaffirming in self. And I guess that's where the daily practice is. It's like, I start my days off. The way you start your day is how you live your day, So I just make sure that I start my day as balanced and harmonious as I can for me, because no one else is living my reality. I can get myself through my days and these massive changes and massive collective shadow that we're in. And yeah, I just keep coming back to here.
Yeah.
And it makes people very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. Yeah. Yeah, but what if?
Yeah, and what if? So if I'm in present moment, when we get to that what if, I'm still going to be in present moment. I'm going to be okay. So yeah.
Oh, I could keep going, but I reckon I don't know. I reckon with my current listeners, they get to like an hour and they're like, all right, unless this is the fucking Dalai Lama. Let's cut this shit off. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so good to have you on. Like, I actually don't even know what we talked about, but it felt good from my end. Like it was.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, no, there was lots of gold nuggets in there, and I loved. I really do love the path you're on, and it almost reaffirms the path I'm on. And it's like, I think more people, the messages that you've sort of landed with us on this podcast, I really think people just need to fucking do exactly what you said, like learn how to go inward, trust their intuition, and just fucking love yourself, learn how to love yourself.
Absolutely, Tommy, but it's not the flaky woo-woo self-love.
No,
there's a difference between self-love and self-care.
Yeah.
Right. And self-love is the dark night of the soul. It is, like owning all your shit. It is calling yourself on you. Like it's all that. And that's the thing, people go, if self-love, it's like, you got no idea, But no, amazing. It's a path, and I can't imagine being on any other path. I've never been healthier. I've never been happier, more content, joyful. And it's the craziest time in my life ever that I've experienced, and I'm in the best. I'm positioned so well for it.
Yeah. Love it, Carla. Ladies and gentlemen, Carla Bonner.
Oh,
round of applause. Maybe I'll put like a round of applause thing at the end there. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. And we're going to have to chat to see what maybe you and me can create together.
I'd love that.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Carla.